For a brief period, Palm Island in far north Queensland became the venue for serious talks on the Australian Constitution. A federally appointed panel is investigating whether there is national support to recognise Indigenous Australians in the Constitution and how it could be done. Penny Timms spoke with some Palm Island elders about their views.
Well, it's about the preamble for the Constitution. Just talking about what we as, I suppose, Aboriginal people, what we want to be recognised or as being the first people of this country.
It's a simple statement, but changing the Constitution is not so easy. The question that locals and experts are trying to answer is how should Indigenous Australians be recognised in the Constitution?
At the moment, we're only a collective of all different peoples. We haven't really reunited as one, not one nation in terms of Pauline, but you know what I mean. We haven't united as one people.
The question is being investigated by the federally appointed panel on constitutional recognition of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples. It's the panel's job to identify how recognition should be granted and if there's enough support for a change to the Constitution. 3 options are being considered. 1, to have a preamble to the Constitution. The second is for recognition to be made in the body of the Constitution. The final choice is to amend a section of the Constitution which recognises race, but that would remove all cultural recognition of Indigenous Australians and could impact on native title rights. Megan Davis is a Queenslander, a panel member and a UN expert on Indigenous issues. She says more than 70% of citizens surveyed believed formal recognition of Indigenous Australians as Australia's first people is needed.
There's a real concern right across Australia about the level of racism in the community and problems of race relations. So there's actually a lot of goodwill I've found right across Australia in terms of people wanting to support this idea of recognition.
Recognition and race have been at the core of many of the social problems that plague the people of Palm Island. In 1999, it was named the most violent place on earth outside a combat zone. In 2004, a death in custody and terrible riots. Megan Davis believes the constitutional change would do more than pay lip service to Indigenous Australians.
There's really well-established empirical evidence internationally to suggest if you recognise Aboriginal people in constitutions, as they have in Canada and the United States and a lot of Latin American constitutions, that there actually is a flow-on effect in terms of health and well-being.
More than anything, she says it would create a sense of belonging. Elders on Palm Island say that sense of belonging is non-existent.
We have come a long way in the last 30 or 40 years since we've had access. We finally become citizens in our own country in 1967, and so we're the sort of new Australians in one sense. We're the oldest, but we're also new.
The Constitution has only been amended 8 times in Australia's history. Philip Obar says it's now time for the 9th change.
It is changing around the place. We're only 2.5% of the total population, Australian population. We will never win votes because we'll be outnumbered. But what's changing is people's spirits changing.
He says it's a sentiment shared by many. It's an important issue on Palm Island. Many elders hope formal recognition of Indigenous Australians will lead to better legal entitlements like home ownership. Indigenous Australians are already recognised under Queensland law. The state government believes that recognition should be expanded nationally as a gesture of reconciliation.
My experience has been that symbols count for an awful lot. It counts for a lot because what it can do is give people hope and something to build on for the future, and that's what reconciliation is all about.
The panel will report back to the Prime Minister in December. It'll then be up to the federal government to decide if Australian voters will have their say through a referendum.
People who understand what this would mean to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people know how important it is, And it's important, of course, that we respect the advice from the expert panel in gearing up towards a possible referendum if that were to be the case.
The elders on Palm Island agree and say this change has been a long time coming.
The only way that we can progress is that we all have to sit down together. And we can't do that just yet because we've progressed in technology, but some of the mindsets are still set, in the dark ages sort of thing. And we need to move forward from that now. And this is the time to do that.
Penny Timms reporting from Palm Island.